Right, in this video we're looking at a 2005 Acura TSX, removing the compliance bushing bolt. I had a 2.5 foot breaker bar and I still wasn't able to get it loose, but as you can see it's free now and I'm going to show you how. The problem is that the bolt galvanically binds or seizes to the outer housing, to the inner housing of the compliance bushing. So what I used is a good old fashioned $5 hacksaw with a really high quality blade that's intended to cut through steel, fine tooth. And I made a cut across the top and then one really close to the bottom. When I did that, it allowed the bolt to shear off on the bottom end right here. It's sheared off by cutting right there, you can see. And then the top end, you have to be careful to leave enough space to twist this off. I used a little WD on the bolt. You can see it's still in there. I haven't totally twisted it out yet. And I added a bit of heat for about 5 minutes until I saw the WD boiling. And then I went to town down here with my medium-sized vice grips. And, you know, lo and behold, it all came out. And in case you wanted to know, top cut, I believe I came from this side right here. I came from this side, but for the bottom cut I went just flush with the housing from this side, close as I could. And the top cut took about an hour and a half, the bottom cut 1 hour. So it can be done, guys. The most challenging components of this repair, other than that, would be getting off the sway bar linkage, also known as the anti-roll bar. And you can see right there, it's got a plastic housing and there's a ball joint type of setup here. So the problem that you have is that oftentimes this seizes, or the little hex nut aspect strips, and you can't get the rusty bolt off. So what I ended up doing was just using a mallet and popping off the plastic housing from the ball, and then I was able to get a nice good grip on this side. So the sway bar linkage was a casualty of war, but not too expensive to replace. And the other issue you'll probably encounter will be the lower control arm ball joint. So I used a ball joint puller, and the one thing you have to note is when you use this, you're supposed to unscrew the nut, then just ever so slightly screw it back on so that there's a platform for the tool to work against. But if you like this, but if you screw it on too far, if you screw it on too far, it's rolling. If you screw it on too far up the shaft when you're using your ball joint separator, you'll have a situation where this whole shaft rotates and then you can't get this off. So I looked at a lot of YouTubes and none of them really worked for me. They were talking about pry bars and various wedge techniques, but I just got a relatively small set of vice grips and very carefully got up under the housing, and I was able to get the good grip on the shaft. I had to really play with the tension setting to get the maximum possible tension, but when I did that, I was able to remove the ball joint right there. So I was able to get the vice grips up here by pushing down this housing right here. You can see the rubber housing, and I was able to get a pair of vice grips in there, but they had to be not too wide and not too narrow. And when you use your tool, you don't want to screw the screw too far up, because if you screw it too far up, once you get it pop loose, you won't be able to unscrew the screw. So you got to be very careful with that one. So finally, I was able to do this whole job without removing the axle, although I did have to remove the fork right here. So it is possible. So hopefully this helps. Good luck, guys.